Welcome to another Tuesday Night Live. My name is Teresa Harper. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator located in Oregon in the United States of America. As you can tell, tonight we will be using Snowbody Better and Welcoming Woods. Let's see if we can see who's on. And then we'll wait a minute or so. Hello, Tracy. Hello, Mary. Hello, Cynthia. Hello, Laura. Hope everybody had a good day. It's kind of rainy and icky, but not a bad all-around day. And I apologize in advance. It seems that I have contracted Nathan's head cold. Yay! He shared with his Grammy. Can't say I'm too excited about it, but I definitely have it. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over. These are the Stampin' Blends colors that we'll be using for the first card. So I'm just going to move those here so you can see which ones I've used. You will find both of these stamp sets, the Snowbody Better and the Welcoming Woods, are both in the Holiday Mini Catalog, or officially known as the July to December 2021 Mini Catalog. Way too long. Holiday Catalog works for me. So these are the two stamp sets that we're going to be using. So let's go ahead and get started with our first card. I'm going to push these all up here. I may move them completely out of the way because I've already pre-done all the coloring. So what you're going to need for this card, in addition to those two stamp sets, you'll need the ornate frames or something else to cut out your sentiment. If you don't have ornate frames, I will be using this particular frame. And then we'll have Misty Moonlight, Fresh Freesia, Polished Pink, Bumblebee, and Basic Gray. I'll also be using a little bit of the Misty Moonlight trim. This is part of the Flowers for Every Season combo pack. There are two other ribbons included in that. One is a Just Jade Gingham and the other is a white linen open weave ribbon. And then you're going to need a card base in mint macaron, and this is a standard card base cut at 5.5 by 8.5. And I've already scored that in the middle at 4 1/4. You'll need a piece of basic white that is 3 3/4 by 5. You'll also need a basic white for the inside, and this is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. You'll need a piece of the Whimsy and Wonder Designer Series paper. And this is cut at 4 by 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have a scrap piece of Misty Moonlight for my sentiment. Okay? So not a ton of supplies other than your Stampin' Blends. You're going to need Stampin' Blends or some other type of coloring medium. That could be anything that you have, including the watercolor pencils. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our stamping. So I'm going to take this 3 3/4 by 5-inch piece and the basic gray ink, and we're going to ink up the biggest stamp in the Snowbody Better stamp set, and that's this group of snowmen. And because this is a large stamp, I like to ink it upside down. So we're going to stamp that. We're going to stamp it in the lower part of our card, but I don't want to go too low. So about 1 inch up, just about in the middle there. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that down. Okay. And then you can go ahead and color that, or you can wait. Either way will work. And next, we're going to do some masking. So we're going to take our mask, and actually I've already colored my little snow people here so you can see. And I've cut a mask out of masking paper, and I'm just going to place this over the top of my image. And I'm doing that because I want my snowman to appear as if they're in the foreground. Okay. Move my pieces out of the way. Hello, Jennifer. Did I miss anybody saying hello? If I did, I'm sorry. Welcome. So glad you're here. Okay, so we are going to take the tree, the birch tree, from the Welcoming Woods stamp set. That's this one here. And with the light gray granite, or with the gray granite ink, which I didn't tell you about, gray granite, we're going to ink up our trees. And make sure that's good and inked. And then I'm going to get my Stampin' Pierce mat, because this is a photopolymer set. And with my mask on, I'm going to stamp my trees, but I want the top of my trees to be at the very top of my page so that it doesn't look like my trees got cut off, because the stamp has no tops to the trees, and I don't want it to look like they're just hanging out there in the middle of nowhere with no tops. So I'm going to place this right about here in the center, and I'm going to give that a good press. Let that ink soak in. And lift that off my page. Okay. Now, I'm not going to remove my mask yet, so we're going to leave that in place. And you can tell by doing that, it doesn't, now it looks like we're just looking at the bottom part of the forest rather than trees hanging out in space. We'll set that aside because we don't need that anymore. And then we're going to grab our blending brushes. Okay. And we're going to start with Bumblebee. We're going to take some Bumblebee ink. I'm going to remove my Stampin' Pierce net because I don't need that. I'm going to ink that up. I'm going to hold this back at the end. And I'm going to gently wipe that off. And then I'm going to start in about the middle here. I want this bottom section to appear as if it's going to be snow. And I just want a real light glow of the yellow, the bumblebee. So I'm happy with that. Then I'm going to move to polished pink. And I'm going to get my pink blending brush. And again, I'm going to start getting the ink on my paper. And then I'm going to hold it back here again because I just want a real gentle glow. And I'm actually going to go this way because my little snowman's arm seems to be sticking up. Excuse me. And then I'm just going to go right over that, the little bit of that yellow there. The mask is not wanting to stay down. Just a real gentle glow of the polished pink. Okay. And we're done with that one. Then we're going to move to Fresh Freesia. And take our purple brush. And again, I'm going to do this really gently. I don't want any lines, and I just want it to look like it's a hint of a glow. I can always put more ink on, but I cannot take it away. I want a real smooth finish. Okay, and I'm blending that purple with the pink. Okay, I'm going to go just a little bit. There we go. Okay, I'm happy with that. And lastly, I'm going to move to my Misty Moonlight. Now this one is a lot darker than the other three. So I am going to be real gentle with the Misty Moonlight. I'm going to blend that a little bit with the purple. And then I've got a real gentle glow. Now if I didn't think there was enough of any one color, I can go back and add. But I think I'm happy with that. So now we'll take our mask off and see what we have. Beautiful. All right. And then I can set this aside for another use. And I'll just stick that back inside my stamp case so I have it for another time. So I colored my bluebird here in light balmy blue, and this is where I use dark and light mossy meadow. Let me bring those blends back in. Okay. Mint macaron. This is light and dark flirty, or light and dark polished pink, light and dark flirty flamingo, and this is the light and dark misty moonlight. Although if I were doing this again, I would use the light Misty Moonlight along with the light Balmy Blue. Okay, that's how I colored my snow people. All right, so we are almost done with the front of this card, but we are going to do a little bit of embossing, heat embossing on this. When I made my original sample card, I took the snowflakes from the Welcoming Woods stamp set, and I stamped them in Pool Party over the top. And while it looks nice, after the fact, I thought, wow, I should have heat embossed those with white. So that's what we're going to do tonight, and we'll see how we like it. Now, because this ink is still wet, although I didn't put a ton on, I'm going to go ahead and use my heat tool on the quietest setting, on setting 1, the dry setting, and I'm just going to give that a quick little heat, just to finish drying that ink if there is any wetness to it. And you would want to do the same thing if you had just colored with the blends. You would want to make sure that the blends are completely dry. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my embossing buddy over the whole thing. And that will also help with any ink oils, as well as if there were wet spots on my ink, it should take away the static and any moisture that would draw extra powder where I don't want it. We're going to grab the Versamark ink and our snowflakes. And again, I'm going to grab my Stampin' Pierce mat just to ensure that I get a good inking of those snowflakes. And then, excuse me, I'm going to splatter these randomly. And I know you can't see them. Oh, I don't want to drop that. Okay, let's go ahead and put some white embossing powder on there. The Versamark ink, you do not have to be in a huge hurry to put the powder on. I'm going to be generous with my powder because I'm not quite sure where my snowflakes all are. Okay. And I can see that I'm going to want another snowflake in here, but I'm going to go ahead and heat set this. And set this away so I'd be sure not to blow my powder everywhere. I'm going to take our heat tool, which has 2 settings, and I'm going to put this on the highest setting. And I'm going to let it heat up for a minute so it's nice and hot, about 30 seconds. And then I'm going to start by heating up the back. This helps with the warping. And I don't know if you can see that turning. Heat embossing is like magic. Okay, and when your powder turns shiny, then it is completely heat set. Oh, I still have one little snowflake here. All right, so now you can see those snowflakes on there. Right, so I think I'm going to go ahead and add a little, well, maybe not. Maybe I'm good. All right, I think I'm going to just go with this. I don't want to put too many and then be sorry. Because I've done that before. Sometimes when you don't think it's quite enough, you should stop, because it probably is. Okay, and I want to get that sticky ink off of my stamp right away. And now we're done with that. We aren't done heat embossing, however. We are with this. It's time to do our sentiment. So we're going to take a small piece of the Misty Moonlight and that Versamark ink, and we're going to bring back in our white embossing powder. We're going to take the Cold Hands Warm Hearts, and we're going to ink that up, and I'm just going to stamp this down. Okay, and I see that I have a stray piece. I forgot to use my embossing buddy on this, but it doesn't look too bad. So I'm just going to take a dry, clean paintbrush and brush off any little stray pieces that I see. And it's not critical if it's around the outside, because we are going to cut this out anyway. So we'll heat this back up, and it won't take nearly as long as the snowflakes. One, because we don't have as much, and two, our heat tool is already hot. So again, I'm going to do some heating from the back because it helps with the warping. And see, that was very quick. All done. Then we're going to grab our mini cut and emboss machine. And we're going to place this on the machine. Mary, how do I clean my blending brushes? To clean my blending brushes, I take either a microfiber cloth or an old towel. As you can tell, this one has quite a bit of ink on it. And then I take my brushes and I just rub until I don't have any left. And if I have quite a bit of ink, I will do this first. And then I'll take my Simply Chamois and I'll rub it on the chamois for a second. And then I'll go back to my cloth. And then I'll rub, and as you can tell here, I'm down to none. I don't have any ink left. My brush is stained, but I'm not going to transfer any of this color to my paper later. That's how I clean my brushes. Thank you, Jennifer. Glad you like that. Okay, so let's get back to this. And I'm going to grab that ornate die. If you don't have this particular stamp set or this die set, these work great for all kinds of sentiments. This particular die is one of my most used out of this set. So we'll just run that through. And then this is what we get. And you can tell I did not get that quite straight. my fault for not putting it on there quite right, but it will work. All right. So now let's get our pieces back in here. We're going to take and attach our stamped focal piece to our Whimsy and Wonder specialty paper, and this is what the patterns look like. It's 12 by 12, and those are all the patterns that you get. And I'm going to attach this with some Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to be extra generous because I have a little bit of paper warping from the heat embossing, so I want to make sure that this is going to lay down. And I'm going to line this up with an even border on all four sides, or attempt to in any case. And this is the back side of that paper. It's a shame to cover it up, but that just wasn't going to go with my card. And then we can add this to our card base, but first we want to burnish our score line. We'll line this up. Burnish that score line. Helpful tip for you, if sometimes when you fold you'll end up with one side just a tiny bit longer, and that's either because we cut it incorrectly, or it could be that when the paper was milled it was just a hair over 8.5. So always check, and I usually put that shorter side to the back. I'm going to go ahead and add this to my card. Okay, and this card is almost finished. We're going to add our sentiment to our card base with a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals. And I have another one of those sheets that kind of cut too deep. Okay, and I'm going to add this right down here, like so. And then I'm going to add a piece of that Misty Moonlight and Silver trim, and I've tied a double bow. And I'm going to take a glue dot and add that. Roll that up into a little log. And then I'm going to add that just below my sentiment in about the center. Okay. And there's the front of our card. For the inside of our card, I have taken the Snowflake Hugs sentiment from that stamp set, and I used the snowflakes again in a little bit of Pool Party. This is another one of those stamps from Snowbody Better. I love these little melted snowman with the cap left, and then this is a snowball. Or I suppose it could be a rock if you wanted it to be. And we're going to add that to the inside of our card. And this card is finished. Okay. And for the envelope, I took that little melted stocking cap, put that on the front, Took the Snowflake and the Warm Winter Wishes from the Snowbody Better stamp set, and there's our first project. Completed. All right. Now, Mary, I've seen that some demos do wash their brushes under water and let them dry. I don't really think that's a great idea myself. Um, I think when you do that, you end up with bristles kind of clumping together, and I, I just don't want to risk it. They work really nicely, and I haven't had any troubles cleaning them the way that I do. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Laura. Glad you liked that card. All right. So let me move these things out of the way. And of course, we're going to be using this stamp set again for the next card. I do need to put a few things out of my way. And I think I need to grab, I'll leave those here. I need a couple of those Stampin' Blends for the next project too. All right, let's get the Versamark out of the way. I might need that again actually. I'm going to clean this stamp really quickly and get that Versamark off of there. All right. So our second project, let's see, I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, I'm going to need the light leaves. These are the blends for the next project. Okay, move this card out of the way before it gets damaged. I don't want that to happen after we spent all that time making it. All right, so we've got some embossing to do on this card again as well. But let me tell you what you will need to make this project. You're going to need the Snowbody Better stamp set. And as I said, these are the blends that I used for coloring my snow people. I've used the second largest die from Color and Contour, and you'll need to cut that from a piece of basic white. And then we're also going to use from the Beauty of Friendship, we're going to use this die for our sentiment. Okay. All right, so our pieces, our card base is a Misty Moonlight, standard A2 card base. You'll need a scrap of Misty Moonlight for the sentiment. Oh, this is Night of Navy. I'm sorry. Did I say Misty Moonlight? Oh, thank you, Tracy. Cynthia, I'm glad you guys like those cards. All right, and then we've got that scallop. I've already cut that out for you in the white. And then you're going to need, actually, it might take you about a half of a sheet of basic white, because you can cut this out of the piece, and then you can use the rest for your image. Okay, so you'll stamp the snowmen and color them, and then for this card we're going to hand cut them out, and I've already done that, so you did not have to watch me fussy cut, because there are no dies for this card. Okay, so those are already done. Now we're going to start with this piece, and we're going to do some, did everybody see what those colors are that I colored with? This time I did use the light Misty Moonlight and the light Balmy Blue, and I really prefer that over the light and dark Misty Moonlight, it looks so much nicer in my opinion. Okay, so then we've got light and dark polished pink, the light and dark fresh freesia. This is light and dark soft succulent, and light and dark evening evergreen. Okay, so let's move those out of the way. And let's prepare our scallop contour die here. Okay, so we are going to get our embossing buddy, if I can see where I buried that at. And we're going to give this our embossing buddy. We're going to take the snowflake stamp from the Snowbody again. And grab our scrap paper here. And we're going to randomly stamp in the top half of our die cut here with the snowflakes. And it's okay to go off the page. If you hold your paper in the right light, you'll be able to see where you've stamped and where you haven't. Okay, let's add just a touch over there and then we're done. Okay, now we're going to grab our embossing powder again. I'm going to go ahead and put this back in so I have plenty. Okay, and it looks like I need more powder over here. Give that a tap on the edge of my tray. And I've got a spot here. I'm going to take my paintbrush and tap that away. Looks like I caught an edge of my stamp. All right, so we'll heat emboss that. I'm going to go ahead and put this away because we're going to need this again in a different, we're going to not use white though. So let's clean that up and set that aside. And let's heat emboss this. And then we'll go ahead and stamp our sentiment. So we want to do that while our heat tool is nice and hot. And again, I'm going to start on the back and move to the front. Keep my fingers moving so I don't burn them because this tool is very, very hot. Got one snowflake in the corner over here that doesn't look quite melted. And on the edge. And the rest of this looks good. Okay, we're going to go ahead and let that cool for a minute. And while we're waiting for that to cool, we're going to take our scrap piece of Misty Moonlight. And we're going to take the sentiment Warm Winter Wishes. And we're going to ink this up. Oh, not in this hang on. I got to get this ready because we're going to use clear embossing powder. So I've inked that up in Versamark. And then I'm going to grab my Night of Navy ink. Getting Versamark on your Night of Navy pad will not hurt your pad. I'm going to ink that up. And then I need to do this very quickly with the classic ink. Okay. All right. So that looks good. Close my ink pad so I don't get any ink in that. Put that away. So we're done with our embossing. And then I'm going to go ahead and heat set my sentiment. Now you'll notice on this one, it'll be just a little bit different than what you saw with the white. So I'll heat this up on the back again. And you saw how that went from look at a white looking powder to now it looks navy blue. So you can turn any of our classic inks into embossing. Excuse me, heat embossing with the clear embossing powder. Let me grab a drink real quick. Excuse me. All right, so then we can take and cut this with our Beautiful Trees die. We're going to use this long sentiment piece, and we'll run that through the mini cut and emboss machine. And hopefully I do a better job of getting it on straight this time. Oh, I need to trim this off because it won't fit in my mini in the direction that I would like it to go. You can only have a piece that's 3.5 inch wide in the mini. So I'm just going to center this up. I'm going to lay that down gently and run that through. All right. And there is our sentiment. Okay, we're done with that. Let's go ahead and set it aside. And we can start assembling our car. Oh, no, we can't. We got to do this first. Okay, so we're going to get our blending brush again. And we're going to take the Misty Moonlight ink. And we're going to ink just the top. And again, I want this to be real light and real gentle, so I'm going to hold it back here. Start off the page and work it up. And I'm doing that because I want it to look like the sky above and snow below. All right, so we can set that aside. Now this piece is ready. And we can bring in our card base. And we also have a piece of the Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper. Let me grab that out of my stack. I should have already had that pulled. And maybe I do. I'm not seeing it in here. Not sure where I put the, oh, there it is right there. Okay, sorry about that. So this is the Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper, and we're using this piece right here. This is some beautiful paper for fall, but it also has these beautiful pieces that you can use for winter as well. So we're going to use a piece of 4 by 5 1/4. And let's go ahead and fold our card base. And we can add this to our card with Stampin' Seal. Okay. Then we can add this. Now, if this is a little bit warped, you can take your bone folder and oil your fingers. Just kind of curve it back. And then we're going to take and add this with some Stampin' Seal to the center of our card base here. Like so. And then I like to take and run my bone folder along the back like that. Then we're going to grab those Stampin' Dimensionals. And by the way, I did use some Wink of Stella on my snowman on the edges here just to make it look like when the light catches it, that it is glistening like snow does in the sunlight. And I put quite a few of these Stampin' Dimensionals on my snow peoples because I don't want them sagging anywhere. Some might think that's overkill, but my snow people won't be sagging when they make it where they're going. Okay, now I'm going to dry fit this at the bottom here. I'm going to put my snow people here. And then I'm going to take a couple of mini dimensionals. I'm going to stick them at the end. And then I'm going to stick one in the middle at the very top. Oh, excuse me, in the middle at the very bottom. Make sure that's the bottom. Because I'm going to lay it across my snow people. Oops, I got it a little low. I can see the very bottom sticking out. And I don't like that. So I'm just going to center this up like so. All right, and then I'm going to grab a couple of gems. And let's see. I'm going to go with the Elegant Faceted gems, I believe. I want some white. And I'm going to stick those, a couple of those, in my, let's see, stick that in my snowflake center. One there. Whoops, it flipped over on me. Come on. And let's see, let's put one over here. And I'll put another one. 1, 2, and I'll put it right over there. Okay. Now for the inside of our card, oops. Oh, maybe I didn't do the inside of our card. Oh no, I did. Here it is. For the inside of a card, I took a piece of that designer series paper that was left when I cut this bottom piece, stamped that melted snowman, used the snowflakes again, and then put "We Would Melt Without You." We'll add this to the inside of our card. And then here is our matching envelope. All right. Thanks, guys. Wonder what's up with Facebook. It's speaking in Spanish. Oh, thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Jennifer. All right, so for anyone who's interested, let me bring back in that first card we made. And then if you'd like to stay on and you'd like to see the opening of my onstage box, I'll be happy to share that with you. We have a few minutes left, and I will just grab that box. Let's get everything out of the way because it's a big box. And I went ahead and added inside my box the on-stage stamping collection that we got, that we were able to purchase ahead of time. So here's our On-Stage at Home swag box. Oh, this is what the box looks like. Let's see what you guys can see. All right. So here's our box. Let me see if I can get that in the frame. There we go. All right. And then this was a stamp set that came in the box called In the Moment. Love, love, love this stamp set. The only thing, I wish this had a little kitty face right there for Mr. Midnight, but we'll take a puppy dog. Okay, so we've got that. Got a message from Sarah, the CEO. It came with these beautiful pencils. This is part of the collection that we purchased. And this is our notebook for taking notes. Love how it opens this way. And this is our convention bag. And I haven't even opened it, as you can tell. Let me open that up so you can get a better look. It's got a B with the Inspire, Create, and Share logo. Inside pocket. And then our Stampin' Up logo with Established 1988. And then these are the pins I received for trade. I can trade these if I wish to. I'm not sure. Tracy, did you get the same ones? Okay, and then I forgot to, this is our Stampin' Grid paper. Isn't that beautiful? that also came in this box. All right, so that was what was in the Onstage box, just like that packaged so beautifully. And then I'll go ahead and show you the Onstage Stamp and Share collection we were able to order. So it came with these classic matte dots. This stuff will all be available when the new mini catalog starts in January. We have classic matte dots in basic white, very vanilla, basic gray, and basic black. And we have some denim ribbon. And this actually we had and it retired last year in May, and it's back. So now we have the Blessings of Home stamp set. Excuse me, and it has coordinating dies, the Flowers of Home, and that's what those look like. These two pieces will cut the stamped images in this stamp set, and then these are floral pieces that you can die cut. Okay, and this is it's a cling mount or red rubber stamp set. And then we also received some designer series paper, and I believe I already have these in order, front and back, front and back. I did show this to the gals at our crafting retreat. Okay, so there's our paper that comes in that collection. Oh, you got rain boots and a sailboat? Oh, Tracy, that's awesome. Awesome, awesome. So I would say by the pins, my guess would be we're going to have some stamp sets with sailboats, rainbows, cactus, and windmills. All right. So that's my live for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I will have details of these projects up on my blog later this week if you'd like to know all of the items that I've used and the sizes. So we will see. Oh, you're loving the adhesive. Yeah, those classic matte dots are awesome. I love that they come in the very vanilla basic gray. I love that. So anyway, all right, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I will see you next Tuesday night for another Tuesday Night Live at 7:45. Thank you. Have a good week. Bye-bye.